Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to our course Cross-Cultural Communication. Student, if you remember, previously we have discussed some important elements and some important notions regarding this cross-cultural communication. Previously we have discussed about introduction of the culture, the definitions, its importance and characteristics of a culture. And in our last lectures, we have discussed about some current literatures and prevailing concepts about culture or intercultural, cross-cultural communication. And we have discussed about two types of cultures, surface culture or deep culture, or we have discussed iceberg model devised by Edward T. Hall. And so we have also discussed some other concepts of intercultural communication, like we have discussed mental models, stereotypes, or cultural identity, religion, family, history, under the heading of deep structure of culture. And today our topic is principles to improve intercultural communication. Those principles and how these principles can help us to overcome the communication barriers when we are in an alien land, we are in a foreign land, in foreign culture. What are those principles? What are those tips? And what are those big points that we can, by following those points, we can understand the foreign culture in a better way. So let's start our today's lecture, Principles of Cross-Cultural Communication. Klyukanov 10 principles of intercultural communication have a significant role in global community building, and they may be applied as when appropriate in the global community building process. So here we will discuss today 10 principles of Klyukanov. Klyukanov 10 principles of intercultural communication. Number 1 is there punctuation principle. Now next is uncertainty principle, performativity principles or positionality principle, or commensurability principle, continuum principle, pendulum principle, transaction principle, synergy principle, or sustainability principle. So we will discuss one by one. So number 1 is their punctuation principle. It advocates the defining of a conceptual boundaries through a negotiable process. In our mind, there must be a conceptual boundaries. We must think about those boundaries. The punctuation principle suggests that people from different cultures define their collective identities by drawing boundaries line between themselves, looking for a mutually acceptable boundary fit or an agreed boundary line. So living in their own boundaries, they must be flexible. They must think about the other culture. They must think about the interest of other people who are not belong to our same culture. So we must devise a combined boundary lines. Combined boundary lines means the things that we must what we say we must apply or we must employ to make our conversation, our communication in a better way, also that there must not be calls or disputes among other community fellows. So we must be flexible. We must show our flexibility to drawing our boundaries. We must not be fixed that because I am a Pakistani, I'm very rigid and I have to do this one, I have to do that. No, we must be flexible, and we must be flexible in a sense that we are concerned about the interest of other people, and we let them to define their own boundaries, because there are different people, there are different community members, they have some different um, different interest. So we must give them space, we must give them uh, we must be relaxed, or we must give them relax, in a sense that there must not be problem while interacting with other people or with people of other communities. Next, there is uncertainty principle. As its names indicates, the things are uncertain, the things are not clear, and we don't have much knowledge about the things. Definitely, we are talking about the foreign culture or alien culture that is not very well known to us. So it will be helpful for global communities constantly search for knowledge of how to interact with one another against the background of uncertainty. So because we don't have much knowledge, so we must get knowledge, we must interact with other people so that we can get better understanding, better insight of other people. This is framed within an equity approach, since the participating cultures have little knowledge about the other and may experience similar levels of uncertainty. So it would be better to interact with other people, or we must be polite, and we must not be harsh while interacting with other people, so that other people um, can show their, what we can say, can give us more and more knowledge about their culture or about their morals or about their values. In this way we can come to know that as a result of interaction we can get more and more knowledge, so that we can understand or we can eliminate uncertainty as much as possible, so that we are be living in a host community. We know much about the people, although it's not a one day task, it needs a lot of time or a lot of activities we have to do over there. So next, there is a performativity principles. As this word indicates, it's related to, it's based on performance or performance-based principles. It's important and in negotiating meanings or understanding the meanings through reiterative process or repeated process again and again. We have to interact with other people again and again. We are doing a job over there in a foreign country, in a foreign culture, or we are over there for higher education, or we have to go to institutions on daily basis. We have to interact with our teachers, with other students on daily basis almost. So we have to perform that activity again and again, repeatedly, process or repeated process. So that we are in the situation to understand that culture in a better way. So this principle provides an opportunity for participating cultures to create and enact meaning that is mutually acceptable and respectful. So living in other country, living in foreign countries, performing our jobs, interacting with other people, we are in the process to get more and more knowledge on our performance base or on our repeated actions or process of interaction of the people with other people. Next, there is the positionality principle, to take the position or to claim the position of authority. In intercultural communication, events and encounters, participating cultures also have to situate and position or ground themselves in this process, where different cultures claiming authority for their vision of the world, because it's our culture, because we are a host community, so it is the best one. We have authority to manage the people. We have authority to change the people or change the vision of the world. So this must not be exercised while interacting with other people, no matter we are belonging to, whether we are belonging to host community or guest community. So positionality principles, we must avoid this problem. We must avoid to claim authority for their vision of the world. Means we must not be so much authoritative to deal with other people. We must give them space. We must give them some relaxation, or we must give them respect, or we must give them a position where they can understand different things easily. Next, there is the commensurability principle or balanced or reciprocal praise. If diverse cultures were to hold their own ground in intercultural communication interactions, there would be a little hope of building a third shared culture. What is a third shared culture? We will discuss later in our today's lecture. So we'll leave it for a while. Negotiating a third shared culture is made possible through research of common ground, where people from different cultures compare their cultural maps and search for common ground using the same forms and levels of meaning representations. So there must be a balanced approach, a reciprocal approach. If the people of the host community have authority to claim their culture, there must be a balanced approach for the foreigners or for the people of guest community. They must also be perform their activities by their own willingness, or they must be allowed, they must be given authority to share their own culture in a possible way, so that we can understand, so that they can understand in a better way different cultures. When the comparison of different cultures, or they must be using the same form and levels of meaning of representation must be equally, they must be participating on equal basis or equality basis. It doesn't mean that the people of host community, they are more eligible to perform some activities, whereas the people of other or foreign communities, they must be deprived of. So in this way there must be disputes, or there must be barriers or communication barriers be arising over there. So we must avoid this one, or we must exercise this commensurability principle. There must be balanced approach, reciprocal approach, or so that people can live while they understand the community members in a better way. Next, there is the continuum process principles. People from different cultures construct a shared and continuous universe while maintaining their different positions, maintaining their different jobs, or performing their different duties. There is a they construct a shared and continuous universe, and there is what we can say uh, mutual culture. So the continuum principle encourages people to overcome binary thinking by looking through multiple cultural lenses, and admits that this is a complex process. So when we are thinking about binary thinking, or we overcome this binary thinking, that there are culture A, there could be a culture A or culture B, and you cannot say that the culture A, or that is definitely a culture A is the host community culture, it's a better one or it's best one. No, or we cannot say that the culture B, that is the guest community culture, it's not very good, it's not a good one, it's not a best one. We must avoid this continuum principle or process. It helps us to understand different people from the different backgrounds, and it provides us lenses, and it provides us assistance to understand the complex process of different cultures. So people from different cultures continuously construct a shared space where meanings are discernible, understandable by the distance from each other. So living in their own boundaries, people try to understand other people, and they share a space, or they share a flexible approach, and in this way they can understand the different cultures. Like there is a pendulum principles, as this word also indicates, like a pendulum, so moving from right to left, from left to right in a moving or twisting position. It encompasses the energy expanded in the backward and forward motion of participating cultures. At every point of the intercultural communication space, there is a constant negotiation, renegotiation of meaning, and defining and redefining of boundaries. The more complex the intercultural communication encounter, the more frequent the pendulum in motion. So we can understand easily by this principle of pendulum, we have to move backward and forward, we have to go in both direction. We must not show ourselves as standing on a fixed point. Think about your own family members. Think about your siblings. Think about your parents. Think about your other relatives. If we loved them, we are more acting according to this pendulum principles. We, if they angry with us, or if we angry with them, what the other person, the next party will do if the mistake is done by other persons and we are not faulty, we, are, we have not done mistake, the mistake is done by the other members. So what will they do? They will try to reconcile, they will try to dissolve the issues, they will interact, they will negotiate, they will make us understand again and again. They will continue their try to make the things smooth. So likewise, in this, according to this pendulum principle, when we are in a foreign culture, we are in alien land, or the members of both parties, members of host culture and guest culture, must perform in a pendulum way. They must be flexible, or they must again and again the process of negotiation or trying to understand the other cultures, community or community, other community cultures, or to get them understanding, to get from them better understanding even. So if there is a more complex and intercultural communication encounter, means there are people from diverse cultures or multicultures. People are staying over there, I mean we are also staying over there in that land, in foreign land. So these pendulum principles needed more, or it's in a more frequent pendulum motion we have to move. We have to, sometimes we have to forget the action, or sometimes we can say mistakes of other people. We have to tolerate, we have to forgive them, or we have to perform in a more polite way, although the people act in a harsh way with us, but we have to be more flexible, we have to more polite according to this pendulum principle. Next, the pendulum principle also defines the ongoing and interactive process that simultaneously connects and keeps apart people from different cultures, producing multiple voices. So we can say, at one hand, each connecting this principle of pendulum is connecting the different people of different cultures, or sometimes it's keeping apart or making separation between among between or among different cultures, producing multiple voices. So most important of all, this principle recognizes that the dialogue among cultural communities is an important factor in contributing to the way in which it shapes their shared visions. So there must be negotiation, there must be dialogue, there must be conversation among the people of different cultures. So if these pendulum principles going backward, going forward in this way, it can connect the people, it can make the separation between people or among different people. So we must be aware of all these things, and we must indulge ourselves in a dialogue type activities, or we must do the process of reconciliation. So in this way, both community members can share their own visions. Next, there is the transaction principles. In there is a proverb in our Urdu कि ताली एक हाथ से नहीं बजती. Give and take. Yes, transaction principle is related to give and take. First you have to give, then you have to take. First you have to keep the rights of other people, or you have to perform your duties, then people give your rights to you. So the next principle highlights the transactional nature of the intercultural communication process. It's common to hear people speak of give and take when negotiating issues on a personal and professional level. So it also creates a negotiation zone within which to move from position to interest. We have to leave our position, we have to go ahead, we have to understand the interest of other people in search of an acceptable resolution or solution. This is the zone, this is the platform within which it is safe to bargain and to offer reasonable choices and options on the basis of common interest so that a mutually favorable resolution can be reached. So we have to perform first and then we have to expect next. I'm sorry. Next there is synergy principle. It is important for participating cultures to work together to achieve their potential as an acceptable outcome of any intercultural communication event. They have to engage in a synergistic process which leads to optimal conditions for working together. It focuses on the integration of resources, striving toward an optimal result that cannot be achieved by any culture individually. There is a famous neurosurgeon, a Canadian neurosurgeon, Donald Have. He was very famous and an influential figure in the area of neuropsychology. He said that neurons that fire together when cells or any neurons work together, they perform better. So, according to this notion, when people of different communities they will try, they will do endeavor or they will struggle to make the situation better, their performance will be better. So they need to understand collectively, they need to perform collectively, not at individual level, as a whole, as a one unit. They have to perform to make the situation better, especially in regards to the intercultural or cross-cultural communication. So people of different communities, they will perform. If they will perform together, the situation will be more better, and the outcomes and results and effects are more better, as if they are performing individually. Although the cause is one only, they are performing one cause, but they are performing differently, separately. But when the cause is same and they are performing from the same platform, so in this way the situation will be more clear for both parties, for both members of both communities. And the last principle, principle number 10, sustainability principle. As we have discussed in previously, we have discussed about synergy principles, cooperation, collaboration, integration of resources. These are the basic elements in regards to the synergy principles, whereas trust, resistance, and tolerance lie at the heart of the sustainability principle that requires that people from different cultures display mutual tolerance, trust, and resistance, sustaining their collective identities and the overall process of their interaction. So they can collectively, they can do effort, or they can interact with other people while maintaining the sustainability principles, and they are showing their trust, they are showing their resistance, they are doing their effort and tolerance, so that they can give good impression of their nationality, their culture to other people, or they, while as well as maintaining their own identities. So if we are giving these good norms or values to other peoples, we are developing our trust, we are developing our trust with other people, or we are tolerating other people. It means people will understand a lot about our culture. And because if we are living in a foreign state, in foreign countries, we are representative of our nation or our culture. In what way we will behave, other people will think about this. Yes, this is the nation, this is the manifestation or many, but we say this is manifested by the whole nation. If one person is engaged in wrong deed while staying in a foreign culture, it means he is giving wrong impression of the whole nation about his or her whole culture. During my stay in Malaysia, I have witnessed many examples over there that regarding the trust. Our Pakistani people, when they go abroad, especially I have observed in Malaysia, they are not trustable. They are not trustworthy people. Most of the time, they dodge each other, they deceive each other, and they are not very good in their dealing, in their actions, in interactions with other people, with other community members, forgetting that they are representative over there of their own nation, of their own culture. And I heard about my Indian friends. They said that the Pakistani people tell a lie. Pakistani people deceive a lot, deceive their own people, and that's very bad. And sometimes I have to feel embarrassment when I heard these sorts of remarks about other people, about our people from other people. These remarks are given by other people. So here I also want to quote one more example of my friend. Uh, when for the first time when I went to Malaysia, there was the first lady in our campus, almost the pioneer students, among the pioneer students, and she was very nice to me, and we have a very good time. We had spent very good time with each other. So she was telling to me that three or four actions that he or three or four dealings she has performed with Pakistani community members, they deceived her in many cases. For example, she told me about her car, that she purchased that car from Pakistani man, and he didn't tell me about the road pay of the car, or because the road pay or was not paid about of her car. So she had to manage very difficulty, and she was saying to me that she could not go outside the university premises. Might be she would be caught by a traffic sergeant because the road tax was not paid of her car. So that man didn't tell her about this this thing, that the road tax was not paid. The next thing that she has gotten a laptop from another Pakistani member, and that was not working. That was there were many problems in that laptop, and finally she had to sell that laptop. And I want to discuss about the tolerance of the Malay people, how tolerant they are. Once I had to go over there in a shopping mall to buy a grocery. I was going over there with my friend, and my friend was having her 3 years daughter in a pram, and I was holding the handle of the pram, and I was moving over there, and I was wandering in the grocery mall. So because it was a Wednesday market, I think here as we can see Itwar Bazaar. Likewise, there was a Wednesday market in the open market on the roads, and it was a grocery on cheap prices, and we could plenty of fruit or vegetables we could find out over there. So I was standing, and I was holding the pram of my friend's daughter, and once I was looking in the different direction, I stood in the middle of the road. After some moments, I realized that a car was standing before me. In front of me, a car was standing, and I said, why it was not moving? Why it didn't stop? So when I realized, oh, I was standing in the middle of the way, and the car has to go to my direction. So I went away and I made the sign of sorry. So there was no frowning on the face of the man who was driving a car, and he was not furious. He didn't give any horn, any single time horn, and he tolerated and he smiled and went away. No problem, no problem. But we have problems. If a car in our community, if we are standing on the U-turn, we don't give we don't give way. There's the road sign, give way. It means we have to take U-turn. We have to wait until the flow of the traffic must be reduced, so that when the road is clear and the fast moving vehicles had gone and the rest of the vehicles are very far from us, then we have to take U-turn. But when we take a slight gap of the vehicles, or we have slight what we say, a very narrow margin, we start running and we start taking U-turn. So this is very bad. We give our bad impression to other community members while staying in a foreign country or while staying in a foreign state. We must give tolerance. We must give trust. We must develop trust of our trust with other people, that we are very trustworthy nation. So these are the things that I wanted to share with you in regards to the sustainability principle. So, after discussing the 10 principles of Klyukanov, we have, during these slides, we have discussed about third culture building or third culture constructions. So, here we can see that some definitions about third culture buildings or third culture community. Kasman defines third culture as the construction of a mutually beneficial, interactive environment in which individuals from two or more different cultures can function in a beneficial to all involved. Ivanov describes how normative approaches typically suggest that individuals either adapt themselves to the norms of their host culture or maintain their own norms while respecting those of the host culture, or explore the third culture building as a special or practical option. Sharing and negotiation across culture is a fair space are important aspects of third culture building. According to Methoba, creating a third culture is an alternative which honors diverse cultures as threads in a rich texture of a large whole without diluting or making less of either. Means staying in a different or multicultural community to learn from their experiences or to adapt something worthwhile from their cultures while maintaining their own culture. It's called a third culture or mutual third culture community. It is necessary to view third culture building as a reaffirmation of what is good, wholesome, righteous within each culture, and to use it strategically in order to collectively benefit humanity as a global family. Here we are not very concerned about our own nationality, but here we are thinking about a large whole, um, man as a human being, or we are thinking about the benefits of humanity overall, human or mankind, or what the things are good, or the things are righteous, or the things are that very good or beneficial. We have to adopt those things for the cause of the whole humanity. And in this collective global third culture, the histories, spiritualities, and families across cultures are connected by the strong bonds of humanity. Here we are not concerned about any particular community. Here we are not concerned about particular religion, about particular sect, about particular ethnicity. We are thinking about the connected strong bonds of humanity, overall humanity. We are working for the benefits, or we are working to assist the whole community or whole humanity, not community, so that intervene through our collective consciousness, so that we pledge to do what is right in just for all culture communities, that developing harmonious, respectful, dignified intercultural communication is the real challenge. Anyone can develop effective and good intercultural communication, but few can contribute to building a global community on the core values of respect, dignity, compassion, harmony, principles and practices to improve communication, encourage dialogue, effectively engage communities, and resolve conflict group. So these are the basic principles. Give give respect to other people, dignity, compassion, harmony, or to give space to other people. These are the basic principles that we can improve communication in a better way. However, at the heart of the intercultural communication is a human being who requires respect, dignity, and compassion. These three qualities are fundamental to every human being's existence, and yet these are the underplayed, withheld, trampled, ignored, and dismissed in intercultural communication encounters, events, and interactions every day. So we are not very concerned about these three basic principles, three basic elements of intercultural communication: respect, dignity, and harmony or compassion. Give respect to other people, give respect to other community members. It's the basic. If we want to get respect from other people, so do not harm other people, do not give harm to other people, or do not think about other people in a negative way, or do not associate some wrong things or negative things or negativity with other people. Try to mend ourselves. Try to mend ourselves first, or realize our own mistakes, and then improve ourselves, improve our personalities, and by giving these three things, we can change the global environment a lot, and we can give a good impression about our community as a whole, and we are dealing with the overall benefits of for the whole community, of the global community. So, to sum up the discussion that we have done already, in every language and in every culture, respect, dignity, and compassion and harmony are recognized as significant factors for peaceful coexistence, as you all know very well. Desmond Tutu has been a strong advocate of peace, and his belief in goodness of all people remains unparalleled, as noted on the Elders website. He said, despite all of the costliness or ugliness in the world, human beings are made for goodness. The ones that are held in high regard are not militarily powerful nor even economically prosperous. They have a commitment to try and make the world a better place. Desmond Tutu, 2007. So we need to make our world a better place by our action, by our interaction with our own community member, or with other community, especially with other community members, especially when we are, or particularly when we are in a foreign land and we are dealing with I'm sorry, we are dealing with other community members. We must show our good representation of our country, of our nation, our people, our culture. So we must maintain all these basic principles: respect, we give respect to other people, dignity to other people, and harmony. We must not be quarrelsome, we must not be controversial about other different issues, although there are controversies and there are some issues that we have to encounter while staying in a alien land, but we have to tolerate, we have to tolerate, and we have to develop our trust that we can manage the things easily. So being a Muslims, we give our good impression to other community members, but it's our dilemma of our nation that we have forgotten all the Islamic teachings, and we are not performing according to the our religion. We are not performing, we have forgotten all these things. So that's why we are not trustable. We have very bad impression among the other communities, bad impression of Muslims, even bad impression of Pakistanis. So the people say different things about ourselves. So we are not trustable, and that's very bad. Being a Muslim, we must be honest, we must be trustable, we must be tolerant with other people because our religion teaches us in this way. So, staying in foreign country, we must maintain all these things for a better communication purpose or for as a whole or for the betterment of the whole community or whole mankind or whole human beings.